Hello and welcome to the Old Garage number 42. I'm Wild Bill and we've got a couple questions, literally a couple questions. I've got some silliness and a really cool shout out, so let's get on with the questions. Now the first one I have came from the episode on America the Slow, and it was from Trotter Malone. And the question he had, because he said that he liked the video, but he says, by the way, I give up. What is the Russian publication over your left shoulder? Well, to answer that question, I'm going to turn this over to my professional set designer and, of course, the prettiest of all the polyglots, Mrs. Wild Bill. So, if you'd be so kind to take a seat.
Yes, sir. Hello, my name is Mrs. Wild Bill, and I would like to show you this book that in question, Conversational Russian in 20 Lessons. It's a very good book for drills, for vocabulary, if you're just starting out learning the language. It even has an alphabet section for cursive, depending on how far you want to take your Russian as you study it. I do recommend, if you're a beginning Russian learner, to study, use it as a supplement along with the various Russian videos and Russian language instruction videos, of which there are many. Because otherwise, if you just use this alone with its drills and grammar and everything else that's available, it's going to become confusing to you if you're new at Cyrillic languages or the Russian language. So interestingly, the Cortina method of conversational Russian in 20 lessons was founded by a Spaniard, I believe he is. When he came to New York in 1887, he set up language courses and eventually began the conversational languages in 20 lessons. So there are a variety of lessons available, and just before this recording I realized that there is also a website, the FSI, or Foreign Service Institute website, which has a lot of free domain content now that is available, and this Cortina series is also available and it's through if you type in YOJIK FSI as keywords, you ought to be able to come up with this course and a number of other language courses available through the Cortina method. So just wanted to let you know that's what it is. You can get it on Amazon, or you can also get it on the internet for free by courtesy of the person who now holds the copyright. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Wild Bill. Okay. All right, I think we got that one in. And by the way, link in the description below as far as that online option. So that was great. Now the last, the Old Garage had a question. This was from James MacArthur. And he asked, 9-liter engine, that is huge, but I know it's not the biggest engine ever strapped to a car. What were the biggest engines from the vintage car era? Well, you're right, it's not the biggest engine, but it's larger than any engine that was actually strapped to a production car. I mean, the biggest one for that was the Pierce Arrow Model 66, about 8.5 liters. But when you get to the the race cars, and especially the record breaker, the Worldland Speed record cars, those engines can get huge. Now, keep in mind, not all races would allow you to just put whatever engine you wanted. Grand Prix racing, 1906, already started limiting engine size, and so did like the Gordon Bennett races. But where those races didn't limit the engine size, you got 12 liters, 18 liters, 20 liters. I think the largest one I know of was a 26-liter engine. Massive T-head 4-cylinder engine. Each cylinder was the size of a car. Okay, these things were massive. Beast of Turin's famous, for having a huge engine. The Blitz and Benz was also massive in its size, and other record-breaking cars were as well. Goebel Berliez engines were also massive in their size, because they were working on, getting more power And the technology at the time, it was, you know, the more power, it means larger engine, bigger cylinders. And it wasn't until after World War I that you saw engines getting just generally smaller, only, you know, because now there were other technologies in how to carburate them, how to gear them, in the bore and stroke, and how to do your camshaft, how to develop the heads, you know, the cams, etc., where the engine size wasn't so necessary. And a lot of these big engines were also originally put into aircraft, where, you know, they'll take, you know, a V8 or a big straight six that came out of a warplane, you know, of pre-World War I or during World War I, and they would put that and stick it in a car. I mean, a good example of this, I mean, Jay Leno has a 1915 Hispano Suiza that has one of those big V8s that came out of a Spad. And it's all Hispano Suiza because Hispano Suiza actually made the engine for the Spad. So, yeah, it's about 26 liters is the biggest I know of the vintage era. You get into World War II and post-World War II, you had a lot of people putting old Merlin engines into cars as well. Again, Jay Leno has a couple of those. He's got a Bentley with a Merlin. He's got also that tank truck that was built, the tank car that has one of those engines. But yeah, about 26 liters, that's about the biggest I'm aware of. There could be bigger ones because, you know, there's a lot of artisan cars from that time. And when you're talking about the land speed record vehicles, those are artisan vehicles. You know, they were just one-offs. They were only made for a specific purpose. Yeah, about 26 liters, that'd be about it. Okay, like I said, I only had a couple questions, and those were the couple of questions, but now let's go ahead and do some silliness. And for the silliness today, I was thinking, you know what? Let's do something silly about silliness. Because there are a lot of cars out there from the vintage and veteran era that, frankly, the make of car, the names are silly. So I've got my top 5 here, this particular top 5, list of silly car names. Now we're going to start off with this one, Reform. Now, the Reform was built in Austria from 1906 to 1907, and, you know, now, I'm a Reformed Presbyterian myself. We attend a Reformed Presbyterian church, RCPNA, out in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, and we're Reformed, and so when I see a car called Reform, it's like, all right, we're going to straighten you out. You know, you're going to get it right, darn it. You know, so I like that name. It's cool, Reform. All right, that's my number 5. Now, number 4 is going to be Pipe. Now, a Pipe is a car that was made in Belgium from 1898 to 1914. It has the distinction of being the one of the first cars ever to use a diesel engine, although it didn't last very long because it just didn't work too well at the time. But Pipe, you know, like, you know, you can get in your car and smoke it. That's just silly, okay? You name a car Pipe. Yeah, okay, what are we doing? All right, number 3. This could only have happened in Canada, but they managed to name a car Moose Jaw Standard. Now, this is a car that was actually created by a homeowners association, which most HOAs out there are pure evil and accomplish nothing but terrorize the residents. But this homeowners association decided to get together and make a car for the residents. And so they got some Continental engines and hired a company to assemble the car, and it was called Moose Jaw Standard. Well, what do you do with the rest of the moose? You know, I wonder these things. And so Moose Jaw Standard, are you serious? Yeah, okay. That's my number 3 from Canada, manufactured in 1917. All right, number 2, silly car name, Roots and Venables. I mean, only England would come up with a car like that. Yeah, Roots and Venables, made from 1895 to 1904. It would have been better if it was Roots and Vegetables. You know, because I'd be thinking, you know, like, okay, we got potatoes, you got, sweet potatoes and things like that. You know, Roots and Venables. I mean, what, are you serious? Come on. That is, you know, what do you drive? Roots and Venables. A what? Yeah, that's silly. Okay, so that's my number 2. But number 1, okay, now this one is obviously French, and it is the car Ass. Now, it was made in France again, 1919 to 1920, only a couple of years of ass manufacturer. But have you ever been behind somebody going too slow and you say, move your ass? Well, you could say that to someone in one of these cars and it would be correct. Okay, because that's what the car was called. ASS. Yes, that is about the silliest name of a car. And no wonder it only lasted 2 years. Even the French would know better than that. Or you'd think they would, but they did it anyway. I don't know why. But there's some silliness for you. And we have a shout out. Now today's shout out, this is a cool channel. Ran across it about a month ago. And it's Tony's Car Care. And you'd think that it's about how to care for your car, but it's actually really covers some classic and vintage cars, videos about them, going through the cars. Some of them are offered for sale on the channel and through the channel. Go check it out. Definitely worth a binge watch. Tony's Car Care. Also, link in the description below. So, a little short of the old garage today, but that's what we had. So, I'll see you next time. Peace.